Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. I am so excited to be here chatting with you once again. I love this way of connecting with you, chatting with you, talking all things design business, and I appreciate you continuing to tune in and listen in. So today we are talking about wading the waters of uncertainty and lack of clarity. Now, this is something that idea that I had recently to talk about based on what I've kind of already talked about some on the podcast, not as a primary subject, but the fact that I went through a bit of overwhelm and kind of burnout this summer, and part of that was just this overwhelm of like, all right, what do I do now? Where do I go? And at the same time, just that whole, dark cloud brought about those questions, even though maybe it wasn't really a question, but it just felt like what do I do kind of thing. So that is our topic for today, is wading the waters of uncertainty and lack of clarity. This time I do actually have a few notes to guide our conversation. So I know that this definitely will have action steps in here to really help you navigate this process when you're dealing with uncertainty and lack of clarity and maybe some overwhelm as well in there. All right, shall we dive in? If you're watching the YouTube video, again, I am obviously wearing my blue line glasses again. I apologize for the reflection you see. Thanks for bearing with me. It really does seem to be helping my eyes a lot. So, just while I'm working and everything, so they're not so strained and tired and exhausted, and my eyes don't want to sleep when my brain wants to keep working. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this episode. So this place of uncertainty and lack of clarity can kind of feel scary and daunting to be in. And I would argue we all find ourselves here at some point or another, typically more than one point. Like we go through ebbs and flows in our businesses and points of like where there has to be growth, and before there can be growth, we have to start to question things. We have to wonder what the next step is. We have to go through the steps of uncertainty and lack of clarity. And I believe that really all of the answers, as cheesy and woo-woo or whatever it sounds like, the answers are inside of you. We know a whole lot more than we think we know. We just don't trust it. We've been taught to listen to everybody else. Like everybody else has the answers. They've got it all figured out. Spoiler alert, nobody has it figured out. But we've been taught this of like not trusting ourselves, our instinct, our gut, our intuition, whatever it is. I don't know if they're all different or the same or whatever, but that we do get these feelings inside of us that can help guide us and direct us. And I don't know if it's ever wrong. I know a lot of times it's right for sure. When you truly listen to yourself and to what you actually should be doing instead of following what everybody else is doing or following what everybody else is saying you should be doing, all those kinds of things. So my first action step for you, action item for you is to get in touch with yourself and listen. Take time to just be quiet, whether that's meditating for you or for just sitting there being quiet, and reflect. Ask yourself questions, maybe journal, rest. Give your brain a break from everything else that everybody is saying, even on this podcast. I'm sharing things with you, but you have to bring those things through your filter, decide what works for you and what doesn't, what applies to you, what doesn't, what applies to you right now and doesn't. Some of it applied to you before, some of it will apply to you in the future, but only a small percentage of it is going to apply to you probably right now, based on where you are and what you're going through, right? So you have to get in touch with yourself. You have to give yourself the amount of space and time, quiet time that you need in order to listen to yourself, in order to let go of all of those other thoughts and ideas and everything everybody else has told you, what you're supposed to do, what is right, what is successful, what is XYZ. Because if it doesn't line up with what your gut is saying, if it doesn't line up with what is actually going to work for you, is it really worth it? I'm going to argue it's not. Of course, you might have different values, you might have different perception of the world and what you want in your life, but I encourage you to at least try to listen to yourself and just see what happens. See what kind of answers you get. But it's not enough just to ask. You have to also listen. And sometimes the answer takes some time. Sometimes it can take a long time to really kind of deconstruct everything that we're told and taught. It can take time to set aside the idea of what we think we should be doing or what everybody else is telling us we should be doing. When everybody else has been telling you for 10 years that Instagram is the secret to success as a business owner, and your gut is telling you Instagram is not right for me, you might start already, you probably already have some feelings of that. And either you're pushing it down, you feel like you have to change, you feel like the problem is with you feel like that can't be right. You just have to figure it out somehow. Probably already starting to get little messages from yourself, and you're maybe ignoring them. So you have to give yourself time. And I think, to me personally, that is the hardest part, because it's like I'm ready to I just want to move on and things to be hunky-dory, perfect and aligned and wonderful and feel good. But sometimes we have to go through this process of not feeling good, of really getting to the point where we're willing to let go of those ideas before we can really sit with ourselves, listen to them, believe them, trust them, and apply them. Because listening to them is also not enough. Like if you're just like, oh yeah, I know that for myself, I need to be doing this, but you don't change your habits, you don't change what you're actually doing, you don't change your strategy, you don't adjust accordingly, it's not going to do you any good, is it? You're just going to know now that you're not doing what you know you should be doing according to your own internal instinct. So like I mentioned, a few different ways to do this are journaling. To me, that feels like a really nice way to just let things out. Like, I guess word vomit is a word for it. I don't love that phrase, but just let it all out. and pour it onto the paper. Or maybe you want to type it. You have to find what works for you here. I can't tell you, all right, do this for 2 minutes and then this for 3 minutes and this for 4 minutes, and then you're gonna have it figured out. It doesn't work that way. You're your own person. Your body works in its own way, your mind works in its own way. You have to figure out what works for you. So it might be journaling, it might be talking with a friend, it might be talking with a coach. By the way, I do offer one-on-one coaching services if you need somebody to talk to, because it is an important part of really letting it out. And then a coach can help you see, like, ask questions and help you uncover more things. It might be meditating, it might be rest, it might be maybe even different things like art, that like where you're painting and it just allows you to express yourself, gives you time to really think. Things like taking a walk, time in the shower, all of those different places where you're just allowed to sit and think and feel. And then when you're there in that place where you've set aside all the distractions and all of the thoughts and ideas and supposed tos and have tos and need tos, the ideas, the thoughts, all of those things. Ask yourself questions there. And of course, this is going to be, you can ask yourself specific questions according to whatever situation you're in. But you can also ask yourself things like, what do I enjoy? Like maybe this is an overall, where do I even go? What do I even do? How do I even get there? Maybe what you're dealing with is something more specific. But as a basis, these are questions to ask yourself. What do I enjoy? What makes me energized? What is important to me? What do I want? And where do I want to go? These questions here can really help you understand what is important to you, what you value, what brings you joy and energy, and what might and might not be a good path moving forward. It can really help you to be like, all right, so I know that this strategy, this idea, this path, it's going to take more time than I'm actually willing inside to put into it. I know inside that I need time for all of these other things, or I want to make time for all of these other things. And therefore, that path is not in alignment with me. And then, of course, it also can show you what paths are in alignment with you, what paths will work for you. And then you can just keep asking questions about to figure out whether this is a good fit for you or not. One of my favorite exercises now, which was something that felt really weird and uncomfortable and woo-woo when I first tried it, is this practice of, and I haven't done it a lot on my own. I usually do it with a coach, like in a group setting, and she kind of guides it. I think it's considered a meditation, but the idea is to step into your 5-year in the future self, or 3-year in the future self, or whatever it is. And that self is wiser, calmer, has learned her lessons, all of those different things, and she can reflect and tell you. The reason I think this works so well for me is because I know what I want in the future. I know how I want to feel. And sometimes it's hard to find that path that will get me there. Sometimes I feel like where I need to be, like what I need to do right now is completely different than what I actually want. But that exercise helps me to see how to embody what I want right now and how to take the journey to get there. So that's another exercise if you want to try it. I don't know if you Google it, you might be able to find some things. But yes, that's just a start of questions. If you have other questions that you like to use, that you'd like to share with me, just let me know. Also, if you're inside of the design circle, you can share in there. Maybe we could go ahead and start a resource of different questions too. Or share it on Instagram with me or whatever. All right. So step number 1 is getting in touch with yourself and listening. Really listening for the answers. And then the next step is to pay attention to whether you need time or you need action. Sometimes we just need time. We need time to heal. We need time of rest. We need time to just be and enjoy, time to reflect. Sometimes what we need is just to sit for a time. and I know there's a lot of us that we want to be doing. We just want to do the action, right? Sometimes we need to just take time. And I promise you that won't last forever. And when you do take the action, it feels so, 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 so much better because you're ready. So really check in with yourself. Do I need to sit and take time? Do I need to understand the answers to these questions more before I move forward? Or is now a time of action? Because we can't just sit forever, but we also can't just keep moving forever. We do have to have time of rest, time of reflection. And through it all, do the things that light you up and fulfill you. If you're feeling like you have lack of clarity in your business and you're really not sure what way to go, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're dealing with burnout, whatever it is, it's not going to necessarily feel easy to work in your business or on your business. You likely will still need to work on some steps depending on how your business is set up, exactly what you feel is best for you in this time. You might cut back a bit. But do those things that light you up, whether that's as well or instead. Like for me in August, when I really was moving through all of these feelings, I really felt this huge wave of creativity and artsiness. I needed to do things that I just loved that weren't related to my business. I started writing poetry again. I started painting again. I bought a weaving kit. And of course, I didn't get it till I had my energy back for my business and I haven't opened it. I haven't started it yet. But do the things that light you up and fulfill you. Don't just call time out on your whole life. A rest does not mean a stop. It might mean slowing down. It might mean cutting back. But it also might mean adding different things. I also worked a lot more on my friendships and my relationships outside of my business. I worked on these things that have been really valuable to me that I haven't taken the time for because I was too busy and too enveloped in my own business. But when I was burnt out and overwhelmed in my business, that time of pause and rest allowed me to spend time on these things that I've been wanting to spend time on for years, and I haven't. So focus on those things. Whether that's painting or sewing or gardening or cooking or baking or walking or hiking or playing with your children or volunteering or whatever it is for you. Do some of those things that you just love, that make you fulfilled, that make you feel joyful. And then also cut out the unnecessary things that don't light you up, that don't fulfill you. And I'll add to this, keep doing and not doing those things. So keep even once you've come out of this lack of clarity and this uncertainty, once you have clarity and you're moving forward with action, keep doing those things that light you up and that make you feel fulfilled. That will help you from getting into these places of overwhelm and burnout again. And the same is true for cutting out those unnecessary things that don't light you up and don't make you feel fulfilled. If they don't make you feel fulfilled, and they're not providing the ROI, like I talked about in that podcast episode about investing our time wisely, they're not providing the ROI and energy, joy, and money, cut them out. You don't need them in your life. They're not helping you. They're not benefiting you. All right. Those are my 3 action steps for you when you are wading the waters of uncertainty and lack of clarity. So again, that is getting in touch with yourself and truly listening. It is paying attention to whether you need time or you need action. Do you need to just take time right now? Or do you need to move forward, take some action? Sometimes we have to take action in order to gain clarity. Maybe you have like 3 different alternate routes and you're like, I can't tell what's the best one. I can't listen. And like, the answer is not within me right now. I can't logic through it. And so maybe you just have to try one. It's so much clarity comes in the action. There's so much that we learn by doing. So do you need time or you need action? And then last of all, do the things that light you up and make you feel fulfilled, and don't do the things that don't light you up and don't make you feel fulfilled. And this, my friend, will help you so much in those times when you feel uncertain, you feel unclear on where you should go, what you want to do, where you're headed, and how to get there. Remember, the answers, so many of them are within you. Sometimes we need help pulling them out. That's why we have coaches and mentors and friends. We have things like journaling that help us. But you've got this. I believe in you. And I really hope that you put these things into action and that they help you. All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later. If you want to connect with me, go ahead and message me on Instagram at Pattern Design Circle, or send me an email, jessica@snickerdoodlenets.com. And if you are looking for a resource center and or a support community for knitting pattern designers and or crochet, I don't both are more than welcome to niche and crochet as well. If you're looking for resources for building your business in a way that's aligned with you, if you're looking for clarity, you're looking for strategy, I would so love to have you join the Design Circle. All right, I'll talk to you later, my friend. Wow, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.